Hi, Barbara Allen here. I am author of the book Conquering Arthritis, #1 best-selling arthritis book on Amazon.com for the last 5 years. I'm here today to talk to you about rheumatoid arthritis diet and delayed food hypersensitivities. Now I know that some of you may have a deep intuitive sense already in your own body that food matters, and I also know that many of you may have been told by your medical doctors, especially rheumatologists, that there's no connection. And if that's true, your rheumatologists have not been very carefully reading the medical literature around this issue. There was a study in the Lancet medical journal, that found that 37% of their study participants, all of who had rheumatoid arthritis, were able to get much better when they were able to find their exact list of problem foods and then eliminate those from their diet. So that's over 1/3 of the people with rheumatoid arthritis that were in this study were able to get very, very significant relief from their rheumatoid arthritis by changing their diet in a very individualized way. There wasn't one single list of foods that work for all the study participants. Each person had to be individually tested. But when they were individually tested and these problem foods were eliminated, they had very, very significant improvements in their health. Their rheumatoid arthritis tended to go into remission as long as they stayed on that diet. So, as with any arthritis treatment, it's not going to work for everyone, but anytime there's a new drug that comes out for arthritis, if they can even get 10% of the population with the disease that's the target for that drug, such as rheumatoid arthritis, it's heavily promoted as some new miracle cure. And here we have diet that's working for over 37% of the population in this study, and my guess is that if more carefully controlled studies were done, it might be even higher, because my experience with this is that hidden allergens are often a really big way that when, even though somebody knows their delayed food hypersensitivities, they don't always know how to totally eliminate the sources of these problems out of their life. And I'm not sure whether the doctors in the study had the level of knowledge that would allow them to guide their participants through that. So for me, I would guess that at least 1/3 of people with rheumatoid arthritis can have significant improvements based on diet. And in my book, I talk about several different ways to identify what your problem foods and substances are, and then how to eliminate those from your life. The one that I most highly recommend if you have the money to do it is the ALCAP blood test. And what this does is it can allow you to test for over 250 foods and substances with a single blood test, and it basically gives you a cheat sheet because you have such detailed knowledge of so many foods all at once. And it can save you months or years if you happen to have a complex series of what you're sensitive to that's hard to figure out. It can save you months and years of detective work. And it won't test for everything in your life, but once you have this base list of what you know is safe and what you know is a problem, then the things that haven't been tested, then you can test individually using something called an elimination and reintroduction diet. So the easiest kind is to pick 2 foods. It's often called a lambs and pear diet. Just 2 foods that you don't usually eat, that it's very, very unlikely that you're having a problem with, and only eat those 2 foods for a whole week. And that will help clear out any of the sensitivities that are already in your body. And then each day you introduce a single food and test it. And you don't retest. If you start reacting and going into an inflammatory cycle, then you just go back on the lambs and pear diet until you're inflammation free again, which is usually what happens. Sometimes there'll still be hidden sources of allergens that aren't in your diet that will have to be eliminated before you can get a totally inflammation free background to test on. But the idea is to be as inflammation free as possible and then test the next food. And then that'll either be safe and you won't react, or you'll need to then spend a period of time on your safe diet until you can test the next food. So that's a very cheap way to do it and at home. And that's, I had actually done a more extreme version, which is fasting. So if you're having trouble even on a lambs and pear type diet, you can try a vegetable juice fast. You run the risk of possibly being allergic to the vegetables you're using, and then as a last resort using just a plain water fast. And then especially if you get better on that fast, that's a very big indication that there is a food component to your arthritis, and that if you can identify as you slowly add back your foods which is safe and which are not, then you're very, very likely to have success with this type of diet where you identify your problems and eliminate them. So that's it in a nutshell. And again, I have lots and lots of details about how exactly to do this, and especially once you've found your problem foods, how to make sure that you get all the hidden allergens out and of your diet. These are all in the book. Years of research there. I don't want you to have to reinvent the wheel. And if you'd like to know more about the ALCAP blood test, if you go to my website, www.conqueringarthritis.com, I've got more information on that there as well. So, very happy to have you join me here today, and I look forward to talking with you on another one of these Conquering Arthritis videos.